This episode is brought to you by ChatGPT. I absolutely love on my lock screen, I can just tap the little icon, immediately start talking to ChatGPT. I stopped really using Google. It helps me out through basic logic and thinking and conversation. I even prep for meetings, just kind of say, hey, this is what the meeting's about. Let's kind of role play what that looks like. The app's incredible. Go download it in the iOS store. Dan, welcome to the podcast. How you doing today?
Thank you. Uh, Doing good. Portfolio's down, but it looks like we have $5.41 to
I have good
build
news. I
up the
have good
pot.
news. The portfolio's the hand we started at $2. I actually was waiting for you. I joined here 10 minutes before, and I
What?
have gotten pocket aces twice.
No,
I've
you
had ace
haven't.
king twice. We're on the best string of hands right now. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I just kept going all in while I was waiting for you. Not that you were late or anything, but I was just like, I just click all in and like we just won a bunch of hands. So
That's amazing.
we're on a good burner already.
That's amazing.
I would love you to give the quick intro, like give folks background on who you are.
Yeah, the quick intro is I'm a VC turned founder. So used to work at a VC fund in Seattle called Madrona, mainly focused on B2B software. And then I left that great cushy job a few years ago to make a horrible decision to start a company instead. So I've been working on the startup for the last 3 years or so. And essentially what we do is we help people make presentations using AI. My co-founder and I used to be management consultants, have spent a lot of time making slide decks, formatting slide decks, reading slide decks, everything in this whole presentation space. And essentially what we do is we make it easy for people to both create a presentation and then edit their presentations using AI. And one of the big differentiators for us is we allow people to do all of this inside of their normal presentation tools like PowerPoint and Google Slides. So you don't have to go download a separate app, use a separate app, get everyone to join this new app with you, learn a new UI and all of that. We think if you're a professional presentation maker, you probably want to use your regular tools to do your work. So that's the quick background on the company. Right now, we're a pretty small team, four of us. We work remotely, and the business is going pretty well. And we're really riding that AI wave right now.
Yeah, I was reading through your product hunt launch and all the positive comments, and it sounds like I think you shared with me the one of the earliest versions of the idea, which obviously wasn't exactly similar, but it was really cool just to kind of see having not checked in for maybe 2 years at that point, and then to see
Hmm.
product hunt sort of just organically interact with your product was really cool.
Yeah, so originally we launched with a different product that's more of like a no-code dashboard builder tool. So you can essentially take a bunch of screenshots of different apps and websites. We'll automatically keep them up to date for you. And then the tool will go and automatically refresh those things and keep them up to date in
Oh,
Notion,
that's
Google
right.
Slides, wherever,
Like the Windows. That's right.
like
Yeah.
little windows into all those different apps. So it's almost like a like people use Plaid or Personal Capital or Mint to see all their financial data. It was that, but for business dashboards. And we originally built this tool in order to um, we built this AI presentation tool in order to get people to use the snapshot tool that we had built. And it turns out, surprise, in 2024, people just really want the AI piece of it. So that's where we've been spending all of our time focusing on building the business.
Interesting. Yeah, I forgot about your key little innovation. I really liked that component. And just a reminder, we're
Yeah, I'm
playing
pretty excited
poker.
about it coming back too. Like now with
Yeah,
AI
I
doing all
think it
this like
will.
crawling, scraping, just using the user interface instead of the API. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like one of those things where you landed on a clever mechanism that will come back, and then maybe the use case that you had was a little different, or maybe the go to market was maybe the wrong. I've
Hmm.
always kind of roll your eyes is probably too strong of a word, but you'll see it like applied to like an insurance company. It's like, oh, insurance company people do they use it for example. You're like, I never would have thought of that, and here they are, the little
Totally.
mechanism. I could totally see that. So as a reminder, we're playing poker for anyone listening. We're sitting at a small table today. I wanted to increase the number of hands that are going on here. And it was actually funny. Dan logged on and he was like, "Hey, who's Double Dragons?" And Double Dragons is Dan and I. That's our poker handle on this poker site. We got, I think, 8 people at the table, maybe 9. I don't really feel like counting, but we're playing no limit poker. We started out with $2, but right now we actually up to 5. So we'll see. But Dan's running the brains. I'll be running the controls. So Dan, again, if you see a hand that you want to hop into, let's do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna just be folding in general. But we've been on quite the string, so hopefully the good luck continues.
Good luck to everyone at this table.
I know. Any good names? Do we have any favorite names? Gator Fan 420.
Well,
That's a
definitely
good
Double
gamer.
Dragons was the best name, but there's a Dragon Fist 76, I guess.
Dragon Fifth 76. I used to play in this, like, I don't know what to call it, but a poker game that was like half random people, half real people. And then
Hmm.
like a guy ran it. But I look at Dragon Fist 76, and I think I did Deadhead. So like meaning like isn't that a fan of Grateful Dead? And then I did
Hmm.
like Deadhead like 67 to make people think that I was like a stoner old guy, was like my fake persona. So I don't know what Double Dragon says, but like I tried to do like, little 90s nod co-op, that type of deal.
That's smart.
But uh so like when did you get into poker, or what's your story with poker? Was it something as a youth, as an adult? Like take me through kind of how you even played your first game kind of deal.
Yeah, I feel like the first time I played poker, just like friends in the basement. Um, I don't think any of us knew what we were supposed to be doing or whatever. At some point, people started reading some stuff online, then I kind of just like stopped playing and was playing Call of Duty instead. Here in Seattle, a bunch of like tech friends, startup friends play poker, so I'll go and lose $100 every now and then. And I was hoping this would be more of an instructional session where Chad teaches me how to play poker. And it seems like the way to do this is just we fold all the hands.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we can play it in that way too. I mean, I would say, I think Mayor and I were talking about it, and it's a pretty common structure. I can't remember on the name of it, but it's like it takes something like 10,000 hands to even find out if you're good at poker or not, because of
Hmm.
all the variance and everything. And so I feel like what I learned in my journey is I played a bunch in high school, probably way too much. I remember we got to the point where we were playing so much poker, like junior, senior year high school, and teachers were so mad at us for playing that they banned us having a deck of cards out during the class. And so I invented mental poker, and I would play it with trusted friends only. So we would deal ourselves random cards, and so I was like, all right, I have Jack Nine offsuit, and then we would have a third person be like, all right, drop a flop, and that person would be like, Queen 3 10, and then we would bet real money, trusting each other that we had whatever hand we said we had, because we were that degenerate. Um, so played a lot in high school, played in college. Just to know, I did the math one time. I paid about all my Christmas gifts with poker money or winnings. I did the math, and I was making like $4 an hour playing poker, but still profitable. Just like I could have taken a real job and made way more. Um,
I
and then
feel like the
I think I
story for
took it way
everyone
too
like you is you paid for college with poker. That's like how people always
I
say.
paid for, yeah, Christmas gifts one time.
Not bad,
But
not
then I
bad.
found myself, I remember I would be like playing online, and I was like playing with so much money comparatively to what I had for in terms of net worth, that I would
Hmm.
be sweating like a cold sweat playing. And I was like, I have tipped over a healthy relationship with poker. So I am now done playing poker. And then I took a long, long, long break from it. But now
Oh,
you're enabling my return.
this is great.
um, but yeah, so I just love it from like a business perspective too, of just learning how to think about like when to fold, when to go all in, things like that. But yeah,
Hmm.
let's see what happens and go from there. But if we see a good hand, maybe I'll comment on a good one, and if you see
Okay.
one, we'll go and we'll play from there. But so you've
So,
obviously
so what
pivoted the
percent of these
business.
hands are you
Yeah.
folding, by the way? Like if you're playing online at a table like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think at a small table like a small stakes table like this, you can be a little more aggressive with it. But generally, I play quite conservative, really, in all the poker that I play.
Hmm.
But and then I think something that I've picked up with the new modern wave of poker is that you'll actually place yourself like on a hand, and then almost commit to that. So sometimes what I'll try to do
Mm,
is like give myself some mental gymnastics and say like, okay, let's say this 2-9 that we just folded. I might
mm-hmm,
say like, you know what, like I'm gonna pretend that I have like pocket tens. Like, and
mm-hmm,
what would that hand look like through the lens of a bluff if I'm going against a player that I
mm,
think I might have position against or something like that?
got
I
it,
don't
got
know if
it.
that's like a valid strategy, but for me, it actually helps me bluff in a cleaner way because I'm actually
Yeah,
playing like a fake hand. And like, okay, this is if a 10 hits, like this is how I'd bet because I want to project pocket
that's
tens
cool.
here.
Yep.
Again, I don't know if that's like a thing or not, and I know that people have gotten a lot more analytical about everything, but and I like to do that from like late position. So like I'll tend to play more bad hands in late position rather than in early position. So like right now we're in
Makes
like
sense.
mid position, so a lot of folds, but
Yep,
folding a
yep.
lot probably. Yeah. I wanted to ask you though. So like obviously you guys pivoted into AI. You know, how do you sort of see this AI space playing out? I think you have a really unique perspective of being a builder and having sort of a venture mind. Like where does this kind of go? And it's a broad question. Take it where you want it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, I think the world has probably spent trillions of dollars investing in AI at this point. And the big question is just, is it going to pay off? People always compare it to the overinvestment in like the telecom sector or the early internet dot-com boom type of thing. Um, and I feel like it's still pretty open-ended on whether or not that investment will pan out. And obviously for internet or telecom or those two big waves, there were companies that were good investments, companies that weren't good investments, and there were some things like Amazon that went up a lot, went down 90%, and then turned out to be a great investment anyway. I think in AI, the thing that's really different is it doesn't really change distribution. It changes a lot of products. So if you think about the internet, now more people could buy more things from different places, and that kind of changed how the economy worked overall. Instead of having local social clubs in every city
Mm-hmm.
or town in the United States, now everyone's on Facebook. AI doesn't feel like it's that same kind of transformation where now everyone is going to be getting stuff through one place or have access to more things because of the internet. But it does seem like we're already seeing that certain products are just like very, very valuable. So especially AI in customer service, AI as like a coding co-pilot. These are already like use cases that people see a ton of value in, are happy to invest a ton of money in. They've been working out really well. A lot of these other use cases, like even ChatGPT as like a general purpose thing, I think there's a good group of people that are like, this is a really helpful tool. I use it all the time, but it's not life changing in the same way that like connecting someone to the internet has been.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
for
that
our
makes.
company, like we're saying that AI is going to be a great co-pilot to people's existing workflows, and people make presentations every day. They spend hours making presentations. We can definitely make that process 30, 50, even 70% more efficient.
Then let's pop in this hand here. We have Ace Queen, small blind. Sorry to cut you
Ooh,
off.
no, this
We're
is
gonna do a
good.
small raise to just get crap out of here. So 947 on the flop.
Ugh.
I'm just gonna check because we're early here.
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah.
How would you say that name? Yuzerhuck?
Yerhook. Oh,
Yerhuck?
what's he betting? 10. Why is he betting 10 cents?
Well, it's 1/5 of the pot. So we called. We got an ace on the turn. Let's keep slow playing this. We'll check. He
But like 1/5 of the pot. What does that even what's that even say?
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think he just was doing a small bet to see if he could just clear
Just
the
knock
pot
us
on
out.
us.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we just raised a third of the pot, got the win. He folded.
Nice.
So I think he was just like, "Hey, there's a small pot in here. I just want to claim it." So I want
Yeah.
to do the same strategy here. So we just got Jack 8 on the
Yeah, let's
button.
do
So we're the
it.
dealer here. Nothing crazy, but just like I don't want someone limping in with like a 2-7 here. Um, wow, hit Jack Ace on the flop.
Nice.
Let's
Chad,
slow play this again.
we're gonna be buying Christmas gifts.
Christmas, and we're up against Dragon Fist 76.
Oh, that's our
I'm gonna do a
nemesis.
small bet to make him think that we're doing what that last guy did.
Okay.
Try to scare off the pot. He calls. There's a flush out there. An 8 came on the turn. Let's maybe do like, let's just do the whole pot. Let's make some
Let's do
money
the pot.
today. So Jack 2, Ace 9, 8. We have 2 pair Jack, Ace. He folded. We're on a,
Yes.
look at this big slick. What is going on, Dan?
This is so good. Oh my god.
All right, so I think
What
we
are we
do
gonna
a,
do here? Do we
yeah.
bet?
So we just got a big raise. I think we either call or re-raise.
Re-raise.
Let's re-raise that. We have Ace King. We were on just a burner of hands. We can't even talk about AI.
No.
Too many great hands. J. Cole for LSU. That's a unique name.
Dragon Fist, get in here. He won't.
I think I like.
Oh,
Dragon.
he's in.
There we go. Or 4-9. Check, check, check. I think we check here.
Okay. Why do you check?
I think we could have bet and take down the pot, but I think a better player would have probably bet there.
Better than
60
who?
cents. It's a third pot. Let's just. I think we fold this. So like,
All
yeah,
right.
I think that
Right.
the idea there's this guy named me. Yeah, this was dating myself, but this guy, I think it was Jim.
Oh,
Doyle or
Dragon
something
Fist
like
is
that.
still in. We'll get to see what's going on.
Oh, pocket jacks.
Oh,
Yeah,
pocket
that's
jacks.
good fold.
Good fold.
And he had the strategy, bet, always bet. Like, and you're using betting to gain information. And it's a really interesting idea, right? It's like if you're always sort of testing, you're always pressing, you're always acquiring more information from the opponents rather than doing nothing. And I always thought that was a really novel philosophy of just, putting yourself into that position where you're almost like doing sonar on everyone, right? Like I'm always betting, and I do sometimes big ones, small ones, and then I watch everyone's reactions. I learn information, and I get better at poker better leverage in the tournament or whatever. Always fascinating.
Hey, you see,
I'm always a
Dragon
little
Fist
scared.
is out of the game now.
Oh no, took his money and he
Destroyed
left.
him.
So you're talking about AI on the distribution. I totally agree. I've been kicking around this like pet idea, and I'm just curious your reaction to it. It's like, is that maybe because we're in the first order of AI? Like, is there a world where we start to create AI agents that represent ourself? And then those AI agents are interacting, and like that's part of the distribution problem. Is that, like, I thought about the dating problem, right? It's like girls are the minority on dating apps, men are the majority. They pay. Women get a ton of inbound. Men send a lot of outbound, but get very little inbound. And so, like, could you apply sort of these AI agents to like make real human men talk to AI women, and then once they pass that filter, then connect the human to human? Like, is that a world where AI actually starts to hit the distribution layer?
It's such an interesting question because I feel like as a user of AI products versus as an investor, I just feel totally differently. Like, obviously, AI has worked super well on customer support. Oh, do we play the pocket eights?
Yeah, you know what? You seemed like you were in a banger, so I folded it. I'm sorry, but we just folded pocket eights. We'll keep an eye on it. Sorry, you just felt like you were about to. This is the bad side of the format. Go on.
As a consumer, like customer using an AI customer service agent, it just is horrible. You're like, just let me talk to a human. Just let me talk to a human. Just let me talk to a human. As an investor, we would have gotten the 8.
6-3-8 on the board. Lots of action on the pot. I'm sorry, I messed that
222.
up.
Oh, he's all in.
Pocket jacks. This would have been a monster for us. Oh,
That would've
flush.
been- Oh,
Oh
good
wait,
thing
we would have 4 of a kind.
4?
8 on the river.
That's crazy.
This has been the craziest string of hands. All right.
Wait,
all
so
right, I'm
he
sorry.
called that all in on his flush draw?
So yeah, one guy called on the flush draw, and the other guy
Was
had
that
it on the.
was that a good
overpair.
thing to do?
I think he might have had a straight draw in there too. It might have been an inside straight draw. So he
Okay.
had 4 outs in the inside straight draw plus the flush draw. So like, not a bad call. But I mean, what, like, 2 people went all in, and that's a great scenario. And we would have had that not been an 8, we would have lost. So any other flush, finalizer there, we would have lost. But we just folded quads. This has been on a $2 table. This feels rigged.
The $2 table.
Okay, so you're saying, yeah. So as a user,
So
you
yeah,
don't
if you're
really
the
like.
human who has to chat with the AI, it's like it just sucks, and they never know what you want. And the smarter AI customer support agents now, I feel like they give you the buttons to click, and you're like, I'm none of these buttons, so I don't really know what to do right now. Just let me talk to a human. Let me talk to a human. Yet at the same time, when you're looking at it from a macro perspective, an investor perspective, it's like clearly this has delivered so much value. Every single company is talking about how much money they're saving. Even me, as a former management consultant, one of my first projects was helping a large pharmacy benefits manager optimize their phone tree. And all we had to do was change the most frequently pressed option from 5 to 1 so that people would like listen to the options and press one
Right.
instead of just pressing operator right away. And it saved
Hmm.
like our client $20 million. So there's just
That's
so
wild.
much like money to be saved. There's so many gains to be had from this. Yet as the customer of this kind of stuff, it just feels like crap.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you apply it to something like dating and you're like, I don't think it's gonna be a great customer experience, but I know it'll make money.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting way of framing it. Yeah, and maybe we're just in the innings where it's about augmentation as opposed to replacement. Like there's this app
Yeah.
that I think is hilarious. I think it's called Riz Lord or Riz, or it's something.
Mm.
But they did two really clever things. One is that you take a screenshot of your conversation, and then it automatically drops it into the iOS like uh, clipboard. We're gonna call this 10 Jack suited, and then
Let's
I
do
will talk
it.
about Riz Lord. We're late position ish, and so what I like about this is that it's a suited connector. So now there's $1.90 raised to us, which is probably not worth us going after, but we would have a nice straight draw, a royal flush draw, straight flush draw, a lot of draws. But I think we
Mm-hmm.
fold on this person going all in. So granted, we probably would have gotten the royal flush. But so this Riz app, I guess, is you screenshot like a conversation with someone that you're trying to impress from
Mm-hmm.
a dating perspective. You go to this, swipe to the other app. It then automatically says like, "Hey, allow paste from clipboard." It drops it in there, immediately then runs OCR on it, and then generates a response. Automatically loads that into your clipboard, and then you just swipe back to your messaging app, tap to paste, and you're done. And so I love the mechanism on two fronts. One is that's just a really novel way of handling like iOS's management of the clipboard.
Yep.
And then number two is like, using a very, very narrow definition of like, how do I best respond to this possible question to impress this person? And
Yeah.
like,
And
you
I
have a
love
lot of
that you could
men
like
paying
give the
attention.
user a couple options if they wanted to. I don't know how it actually works. It seems like that flow is great, gives you what you need.
Yeah. But I'm like thinking about like, okay, that's like such a narrow use case. It's like, should a customer support agent have that? Is it about supercharging them through,
Mm-hmm.
rizzing up? God, I'm already, this is bad, but like, doing a great job of delivering the perfect experience while also injecting that human component. Like maybe it's just
Yeah.
an inning thing, I guess is where I'm trying to rant to.
Well, also I feel like there's like this dating app that got somewhat popular where they just take your photo and make you look jacked or make you look more attractive. And yeah, that AI for augmentation totally makes sense, immediate value
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of people. But do we get to that next layer where this is like worth tens of trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars and all that investment paid off? Still really unclear.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you have like what do you think of this, inevitable chat, GPT-5 and like this idea that, this next $10 billion, $100 billion train model, like do you feel like it's going to have these massive, massive unlocks, or do you feel like we're sort of near a ceiling? Like
Yeah, I
any
know Sam
insight into
Altman
that?
keeps saying like don't bet on the improvement not happening at a continuous rate, but it's like I don't know, I'm just a casual observer using the apps, using the app, using the API, and it's like the improvements are definitely happening at a slower rate.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so like I don't think we reach artificial general intelligence just by training larger and larger LLMs, if only because all the training data or most of the training data has been used. Like the internet's
Hmm.
been crawled. I feel like we're kind of at like peak internet right now, where all the LLMs have been trained on everything on the internet. And now we have all this trash content that LLMs are putting out on the internet. So unless you're doing like hyper curated things or transcribing videos or doing other things that allow people to have higher quality training data, it's like how much more improvement are we going to get?
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, because you sort of get this like I guess negative feedback loop where you have
Mm-hmm.
synthetic data, synthetic AI generating sort of complementary.
Oh
I
my
do like
gosh, did you?
obviously I
Oh wait. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Never mind. I thought we just
we
hit the.
almost caught another banger. Yeah. uh it's this run has been nuts. That you almost get like this negative feedback loop where you're training potentially an artificial data, which then my mind, and I've been working in the blockchain industry the past couple of years, my
Mm-hmm.
mind drifts towards like, hey, does blockchain all of a sudden find its killer use case in sort of authenticating data
Yep.
and input things to train these different models, and like do these things then come together, and then maybe that unlocks a sort of a whole new paradigm as well.
Totally.
It's I mean, I think about around like deepfakes and things like that. Like, I am wondering, like when will Apple start printing? I'm thinking about like Trump's the Trump attempted assassination on Trump. Right? There's like all these. It was it the glass shattering? Was it a real bullet? All these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like to me, it seems like we're in an era where it'd be relatively simple for each device to basically put like a fingerprint on like here's the geolocation of what was filmed, when it was filmed, and then here's all the nearby Bluetooth enabled devices. They all took all these photos at the same time. So we have like 3,000 data points of saying like this photo, this video was taken unfiltered in this moment at this location in proximity to all these things. This footage is quote unquote real. Like it
Yep.
feels like we're not that very far away from a product or service like that being just baked into to iOS. Just to help solve
Yeah.
that. Maybe you don't need blockchain, I guess is my point.
I think that also just raises the question like who wants to pay for that kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a big question in AI world. We're starting to see like these earnings calls where I don't know which company it was, but the CIO came out and said, "Hey, like we did the pilot of Copilot. It's pretty cool. The developers love Copilot for GitHub, but Copilot for Office Suite is just not worth it. No one's asking me for it. I don't want to pay for it." And I think like there's probably great use cases. It's pretty easy to figure out how this thing might save someone an hour every week or every month and make it totally pay for itself. But for all these AI enabled things, like is it so good that people want to pay for it? Is it so interesting that like an individual will take out their own checkbook and pay for it or ask their boss or go out of their way? That's the thing
Yeah.
where I think there's open questions right now.
Uh, Pivoting a little bit, which like do you use ChatGPT? Do you use Claude? Do you use some like abstraction layer above it? Like when you're just using the internet as a normal person,
Hmm.
what platforms are you using and how are you using them?
Yeah, I just use ChatGPT. I feel like they've been kind of ahead of the curve on everything so far. If Claude was like so much better than ChatGPT, I'd probably just sign up for an account there and switch over. There's not like a lot of switching costs. I did try one of those apps where you like download the desktop app and then you just connect all the APIs, and it was kind of cool, but just a great example of like the UX just trumps everything, and the ease of
Mm-hmm.
use and ability to like fit into part of your workflow is so important.
Yeah, for me, like the iOS lock widget piece on
Oh
the home
yeah.
screen is just. I mean, I can tap it, talk to it. I've been
Oh,
doing
I
like
see.
meeting preps for it, and my
Mm-hmm.
kids will be
Mm-hmm.
like, I was driving my kids to school today, and I'll spare this full story, but there was a story I saw an interesting fact regarding poop. My kids are 7 and 5, and they're two boys, and they love poop stories. And I told them this story. They laughed their absolute brains out, and they're like, "We want more." And I was like, "I don't know where or how I'm going to find more poop facts or stories. ChatGPT can give you poop facts and stories." So we listened to like 2 or 3 poop facts or stories on the way to school, and they had a blast. They had an absolute blast. But like to your point about the UX, I was driving. It was so easy just to tap on the little thing, goes to
Yep.
the Bluetooth, and just say, "Hey, can you tell me some facts or funny stories about poop?" And next 3 minutes are super engaging for them, which is wild. Like it was really so back to your point of like the UX for me being so integrated into iOS, and then
Mm-hmm.
hopefully Siri actually that gets deployed will be probably a kingmaker.
It's pretty wild that Siri and Alexa haven't built this stuff in already.
It's wild, isn't
I
it?
mean, it's really
I mean,
expensive to use these models, but if they're as valuable and people think they're as valuable as everyone is saying, it's like, oh, you already have, I don't know, millions of these, billions of these devices out there. Let's just enable
yeah.
all the AI chatbots. But I think the thing might be people aren't willing to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of Apple doing a deal with OpenAI to just like throw their hands up and being like, we, like you guys figure it out. Like to me, it feels like I'm not a big, what's the right word? Like I'm not huge on Apple long term, but I'm not,
Hmm.
pessimistic. I'm not bearish on them. But it did. If I was optimistic about it, I'd be like, oh man, I like that. Seems like a core competency they'd want to be really competent at in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
What was
I mean, I
your
feel like they
reaction?
could always like go and figure it out later. And I'm sure they negotiated great terms. Like there's all these articles about the Apple credit card and how Goldman Sachs is like bleeding money because they offered it through them. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if OpenAI is losing a ton of money and they're like, we don't want to have to pay for the ChatGPT service
Hmm.
ourselves, but we're happy to like pass it through you guys.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I just folded Queen 10. I was a little on the fence about that. King 7. Now we've been on a little cold streak, which is
That's okay.
totally
They're going
fine.
super fast. Well, so
Oh,
what
A7
are
suited
the,
on the button here, by the way. Let's play this one real quick. So what I
let's do
like
it.
about this one, so we're on the dealer, so we're last position. So we basically want to limp into this hand with no material raises, so it's small raise, and then we're hoping a lot of people play this hand, and we hope diamonds get out there. And that's like the only scenario that I'm looking for here. Let's see what happens. One diamond, so we can get runner diamond here, which is a good situation for us to check a very small bet or call, very small call here, but checks all around. Perfect. Okay, so this is basically a fold at this point. So for anyone listening, 3-4, king 6, with only one diamond out there, checks all around, diamond, ace high.
Oh,
We'll fold and we'll just talk about something else. Sorry, were you saying something?
yeah. Are you using AI regularly? Like, are there these use cases that you're getting a ton of value out of?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple really great use cases that have materially impacted my life. The first one is most like search stuff is tends to hit a chat gpt query first.
Hmm.
I find it really funny too, like prompt engineering, like I'll say like no yapping. It's like what's the capital of xyz, like I don't like great question, like I'm like no, just give me the capital.
And when you
um
do that kind of stuff, you're not worried about hallucinations. Like at this point, I'd rather just type it into Google and see
hmm.
the primary source myself.
I think maybe like a year ago, 9 months ago, I was more worried about it. Now
Hmm.
with ChatGPT especially, and I think Claude as well, having these annotations and referencing,
Hmm.
it seems like they've gotten a little bit more um, like objective. But I
Yeah.
think like I had the other day, I was doing like researching like a market, and I was like, hey, like what is the average CE, like give me a stat about how CEOs feel about X, Y, and Z, about like HR or something like that. And it's like, yeah, I completely hallucinated like some numbers and something that looked about right, but it was like I
Yeah.
wanted like a pull quote. So something like that, no. But I mean, I think it's accurate enough, and the type of stuff that I tend to be looking up is like, let's just say the capital's wrong.
Yeah.
In that particular context, like it probably wasn't like I wasn't booking my flight there. Like that would be a
Mm.
problem. So generally, I feel pretty good on that. And then coding, I went from being able to build a lot of like my background has been like HTML, CSS, light JavaScript to kind of get what I need done on the front end.
Hmm.
And now with between Claude and ChatGPT, I feel like I can build decent-ish sort of like standalone front end back end applications.
Yep.
So to be
Yep.
like, I went from a pretty a 6 out of 10 front end a developer to like a junior full stack. I'm like, that's pretty wild. I never thought I
I'll
would be
plus one that
proficient.
too. I wrote a blog
Yeah,
post about this one where it's just like, is Copilot making developers 20% more efficient? Maybe, maybe not. But for people like you and I that are sometimes writing code, 100 times more efficient, like 10,000
way
times
more.
more efficient. You're
Yeah.
just not worrying about syntax. You're like hey, give me something and I'll fix it so that I can get what I want out of it. And
Yeah, and
that's not
I
like enabling people, that's making like 100 times more people developers.
yeah, it's like for me, for whatever reason, my brain just could never understand sort of this relationship between like accessing the database and like creating sessions and then like writing that information back and then like going back and forth. Like I basically build these sort of like, everyone experiences this app in the same way. Like I come from like a WordPress background, so it was like I could kind of wrap my head around like we have one database that holds all the posts, and like everyone
Hmm.
sees that, and that's what I built. But yeah, to your point, like I'm so enamored that I can go step by step and then run into a very specific issue and get a resolution. I can get an analogy. I can get like, hey, explain this to me, in JavaScript, and then okay, like, yep, you can go do that in Python now. Like, it's just to your point, like the unlock for me personally as a productive engineer, which again, I'm not really an engineer, but it's like absolutely massive, absolutely massive.
Yeah.
I can MVP concepts way faster now.
So to go back to the earlier question around like, is this investment going to be worth all the money that the world is putting into it? Like these scenarios that we're talking about, this is more like when they built out all the highways. The question was, are the car companies going to make bajillion dollars? And it was no. But the Walmarts and the suburbs that grow up around highways, that's who benefited. And here it's like the services businesses, the high cost labor, that's the thing that's going to be really impacted by this. And the low cost labor too. I guess that can be more or less completely automated. Maybe you have some human oversight, but it's largely automated, like these customer service phone calls or whatever.
You're right.
But
Yeah, I
that's a
feel
way different level of impact than the internet
right, right.
or the
And
mobile phone.
your analogy on the highways is a great one. I talk about that in the blockchain space a lot. I think something similar happened with the railroads, where it was just like a ton of entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
putting in. They were like, everyone knew the railroads were going to be huge, and all these entrepreneurs were like, I just made like the first air conditioned car, and someone's else like, I made this, but like the gauges were messed up. That you could go from like Indianapolis to Fort Wayne, and that was it. Like like the network wasn't there, and then
Yeah.
to your point, I think it was John D. Rockefeller and Standard Oil and Carnegie and U.S. Steel being like, I just need the exact same cars, just doing a shit ton of steel and a shit ton of oil. That's all I
Yeah.
need, all across the country. And like
Exactly.
a lot of the entrepreneurs that had the right visions that we ended up using, Amtrak and all that stuff, they had to come after the next wave of like, okay, now John D and Andrew, like they got their empire. Pocket Jacks, by the way, let's
Ooh.
let's limp into this one.
Is there a
Maybe a
world in
small
which you
raise here.
wouldn't play these?
If there was big raises, yeah, big
Okay.
raises, I'd fold them. Yeah. The
Oh,
the
that's a
trick
big
with
raise.
Yeah, for this table, we just raised 50 cents, which for most, I think the max buy-ins. So this is great. So 827. I don't love all the hearts here, but
Mm-hmm.
let's kind of go maybe 75% pot and hope he doesn't have a heart. The Qual Man fold.
Fold.
So the thing I don't like about jacks is you really really have two outs, right? So like we're really looking for a jack, and everything
Mm-hmm.
else is not particularly helpful. The odds of us getting a straight on both sides, now we need four cards to do that. It's just like,
Yeah.
so the problem is like if we don't hit our two cards, then we just have a medium high pair. That's all we
Yeah,
have.
I see.
And we don't have a flush draw. Like we really don't have a straight draw. Like, so heads up, I believe the odds of like an ace king or an ace queen versus pocket jacks, I think pocket jacks are like a 53% or something like that. But like, it's not like you're not really in a strong position really. And I think any
Mm-hmm.
pocket pair against any unpocket pair is roughly that type of number. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just one of those things where like it's just a tough spot to be. So I'd actually rather have maybe almost like a small pocket pair, like like those eights I folded for the quad eights, because no one's really like looking for an eight. An eight hits
Yeah,
on
I
the board
see.
and no one's like looking at it in a particular way. But it made your hand.
That makes sense.
Where are you at on the AGI thing? Sorry, around like, is that like, does humanity thrive? Does humanity die? Like, where are you at on that spectrum?
Oh, great question. I just like all the sci-fi books. I just love reading about this topic, but I have no actual perspective on it.
Oh, you're like, great question. I've done a lot of research and I have exactly zero opinion on the matter.
It, so I think one of the things that's been really crazy to watch is um, ChatGPT kind of passes the Turing test now,
Yeah.
and that like somehow wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Like everyone now is kind of just like, oh well, it wasn't a good test anyway because it's just about can you deceive the person. It was like, yeah, everyone
Hmm.
thought that was okay, but now that it's like so clear that GPT 3.5 through everything else that's come out beyond that is like, yeah, it can do this pretty consistently. Um, so the only thing that I could say is like based on the experience from that, once it happens, it might just not be a big deal.
Yeah.
People just get used
Humans
to
are
it
just
like really, really quickly.
right.
I remember when the first autonomous vehicle drive started happening. I was reading all these reviews from like the TechCrunch journalists or whoever. Ooh, do we play the Jack Queen?
Yeah, so we have Jack Queen in the blind. I say we play it if small raise or it checks to us, but
Okay.
not to go too great because we're in early position. I don't love like
Yeah.
this hand came up with Mayor and I, and he just brought up a good point. It's like a lot of people are going to have a king or an ace in their hand, so like
Yeah,
you're
so
just
many
kind of
people.
right out of the gates. Even like so a raise of 60 cents. I think is
60
cool. This bad
cents.
boy.
So all the
Um,
reviews from like these people who took the first set of driving cars were like, this was the coolest thing. And then I got in 1 minute later, it was like, oh, this is just normal.
mm-hmm. And that's
So
and
I don't know, maybe AGI something like that, where we just very quickly get used to it, whether it's benevolent or not.
You're right. I can't remember what alien movie it was. Was it District 9 or something like that? Where the aliens come. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
dude, we just fold King 6 and
Oh my
flopped a
gosh.
pair. Again, King 6 on the board. This has been quite the run. I'll stop repeating it. But and if I recall in the movie, like, the alien ships are hovering over the cities and oh no, the aliens actually start coming down. That's right. Like, and then the movie sort of picks up sort of in that, and like they live in like refugee camps, and like, yeah, society is just sort of like, yeah, there's aliens here now. We can't really communicate to them well. Not sure why they're here, but like I still got to file my taxes, like
Exactly.
like maybe that movie was quite prophetic around
So where are you
AI.
at on AGI? What do you think is going to happen?
I think like generally, it's one of them. I think it's such good intellectual like thought candy,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the reason is that I love. Are you familiar with Pessimist Archive? It's like a
Mm-mm.
podcast and a newsletter. This guy is like, I'll put it in the show notes because he's just he's done a great job. But he goes back in time and takes every new innovation, and he basically finds newspaper articles that say that like society's ruined, and you're just stunned the similarity in language, everything. So like
Mm.
the bicycle for kids, they're like the bicycle is ruining children. That all they want to do is be outside on their bike all day. Mom and dad say, hey, little Timmy, like I want to talk to you, and they no, I just want to ride my bike, and that's all I want to do. And they scream and cry if you take their bike away. And you're like, and then the next one is like the radio. Children are at home glued to the radio, and their brains are melting because all they do is sit and listen to talk radio all day and listen to music. And you're like, oh, like this is video games, this is TV, this is iPads, like the incumbent humans, the parental humans who I think their brain plasticity is sort of hardened, see
Yeah.
new technology that's addicting to the new younger technology, and they just can't comprehend why or how that thing's so addicting, and then that cycle just seems to repeat. And that so this guy's newsletter and podcasts are excellent. They talk about that. I generally subscribe to that belief. Is that like as I get older, my brain just loses plasticity, and so it's harder for me to wrap my head around like how AI changing everything could be good, right? Like, and I think that's
Mm-hmm,
why
mm-hmm.
older people just get more doomsday. Like back in my day, we used a real map, and like we're not, we didn't have to rely on blah blah. So
Yep.
I generally believe in that. But the problem is that like at some point, assuming the human species ends, which it statistically will end, we're going to have something that does kill us. Jack Queen, I'm gonna limp in here, but something's gonna kill us. Something's gonna go wrong. Nuclear war, climate change. Okay, so we just limped in with a Jack Queen offsuit, 10 Jack Jack on the
Yes.
board. He raises a half of the pot. I'm gonna wait intentionally. Let this go real long. We're gonna call this. Hopefully, no. Okay, we just hit a full house, a queen on the turn.
Oh, wow. Wait, what could he have?
He could have pocket queens. Is the only thing that could beat us at this exact moment.
Yeah.
We'll wait again. We're gonna try to mess with him. So yeah, we have unless he's got pocket queens, we have the second best possible hand, and we have a queen, which means odds are low he's got one. I don't think he has anything, so I'm just gonna re-raise. Just raise it like that.
Would you go all in?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the odds of him having pocket queens are. I think he folds. I don't.
Do you want him to call this or not?
Yeah, call. Yeah, he folded.
Oh wow, 593, and the
Dude.
king queen.
We got king queen, dude. We can't. I mean, I know we're just about time. We can't end. I gotta make this $3, man. Mayor and I lost 25. I gotta earn back.
We need to be playing for like remove the decimal points from this table.
Yes. Now there is a thing in poker where, like, maybe part of the reason we're winning, we're catching amazing cards, but part of the reason we're winning is that the talent here is probably pretty low. But
I mean, who besides for degenerates who just really want to play poker, who even joins the table where you're playing for $2?
Yeah.
Like if you're not into it, you wouldn't even, you'd just be playing on your phone for free.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and arguably you'd want to play against the computer and just like get hands faster, and like when you fold, the whole table ends, and like why bother? Yeah, I mean, so the AGI question, but so I'm just like, something will end us. Something will end us, and this feels like a good thing, like a good high risk thing to end us. Right? I mean, like. And I kind of subscribe to, like, in a benevolent way. That's just like the AI, would just be like, oh, like, we need to optimize for this particular thing. And, I'm confident that we can find ways. I clicked fold. I'm such a bender. I'm going to click all. We have 10 ace.
Let's do it. Yeah, it's just so interesting because even like right now with LLMs, people very much like anthropomorphize them and try to even like prompting, like talk about it in a way that relates it to being a human. Are we going to? Oh wow.
So I just checked. So yeah, so for listeners, there was 4 diamonds out there, and so we were just limping around, and we got 2 pair, and so I just checked all the way out to.
Should we have raised at the end, or no?
We could have. I think that given like we've almost tripled our stack, and we were against someone who has a big stack, that they easily could have had a diamond, and it was just kind of like the ROI on it was probably pretty low. Yeah. Sorry, you're saying that anthropologize. Sorry, I messed up that word.
Yeah, people just like treat AI like it's a human, but I mean, we understand how the AI works, and it's just predicting the next token and the sequence of tokens. Like whatever AGI looks like, it's going to be so incomprehensible to us. That's so fair. Like the sci-fi things of like do not harm humans, and you can do things that still harm humans in that construct. Like we're not going to be able to understand that.
Yeah, I mean it's a fair point. There's going to be a level of abstraction that if it hits there, it'll be. I mean, like probably like us trying to talk to like an insect or something. It's just like there's these language concepts.
Even if it was a super intelligent insect, Adrian Tchaikovsky, I think, is the sci-fi writer. He has like a series about like intelligent spiders that evolve on another planet and meet humans.
I think I read that. There's
so good.
What's one of the titles?
Children of Time.
Yes, that is one of my favorite sci-fi books of all time. That is
I think it's like a good example of this type of thing where like the spiders think the humans are dumb, and the humans are like have no idea what the spiders are saying. But if we build an AI system, it will not work the same way as a human. So we will not understand why and how it thinks.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's a little scary for humans to accept that, and I think that's reasonable. But yeah,
I think it's totally reasonable. But also, I don't know how you regulate it. I guess someone has to just come with a proposal and you figure it out.
Well, I think that's where I sit on the pragmatic side of that, where it's like like it's gonna happen. We need to do it. It's probably one of those things where it's sort of like the nuclear arms race, where unfortunately the way to probably do nuclear deterrence is to have your own nukes, and
Hmm.
so it's probably building out strong AIs, knowing China's going to build a strong AI, and you just sort of get in that world and go from there. Pocket fours. Maybe let's call this our last hand.
All right.
Wrap it on time. So we have pocket fours. We're in mid position.
I'm feeling 2 4s on the flop.
I mean,
It's the
the
only
way
way
that
we
we've
can
been
end
playing,
this.
this guy's raised 45 cents, which is
Just
a
call it.
mega
Just call it,
raise.
Chad. Just call
I
it.
think we do. Let's go. 35 cents. We only live life once.
Oh no.
9 queen 5 of diamonds. Rough flop for us. Gator fan 420.
You
Redheaded
shouldn't have
woman as
listened
his
to me.
avatar.
You shouldn't have listened to me.
26 cents. Too rich for our blood.
Too rich.
We'll
We're
fold.
out.
Fold. Jack 9.
How did everyone
All
else
right,
at this table end up with like $5, $8, $10?
that's true. I thought that I bought in with $2 on the max. So
We thought we were the big dog 69.96 at that table.
we were not. Well, Dan, I appreciate you coming on and talking and playing some poker. It's always fun to chat with you about all these random topics. So I appreciate it. And it's been nice to talk to you. I don't think we've talked maybe in like 2 years. So
I
thank you
know.
for catching up.
This is great. Podcasts,
Sounds
the
good.
cure to male loneliness.
I know. One of the things I was on the last episode, I was like, I'm glad that like Twitch streaming wasn't like a career path for me, because I think I would have like really tried to be one. And then he was like, but you decided to like stream online poker with friends instead. And I was like, oh my God, here I am. Here I am. Yeah.
Next time we'll make this live.
Yeah. Maybe that's the trick. All right, man. Thank you. Thank you for joining.